Okay, Chapter 8 goes over cost of goods sold and the cost of merchandise sold during an operation period, and it's one of two major expense categories of a business. And operating expenses or overhead are all business expenses other than cost of merchandise. That's what you buy to put into your store, the products you buy to resell to your customers, required to operate a business. So these operating expenses fall into three categories: manufacturing, selling, administrative. And some of them can be payroll, rent, utilities, insurance, office supplies, equipment, repair, packaging, and shipping. We have what we call markup, mark-on, or margins. This is the amount added to the cost of an item to cover the operating expenses and profit. The difference between the cost and the selling price. Cost amount of markup and selling price of an item. We have a retailing equation, and the selling price of an item is equal to the cost plus the markup. So selling price is equal to cost plus markup, or the formula is selling price equals cost plus markup. If you're looking for the markup, then it would be the selling price minus the cost. If you're looking for cost, then it's going to be the selling price minus the markup. The retailing equation, finding the selling price, we have some lawn gnomes that cost $6.80 per unit to produce. If a markup of $9.40 per unit is added to the cost, what is the selling price? We would use our formula of cost plus markup, which would be the $6.80 plus the $9.40 markup. So each item or unit would be sold for $16.20. If we're wanting to find the markup, an example, the box of golf balls sells for $28.50, so this is our selling price. If the distributor was paid $16.75 per box, that's the cost. What is the amount of markup? So we're going to take the cost, which is $28.50, minus the markup. Minus the cost, and that's going to give us the markup, $11.75. Selling price minus the cost is the markup. Continuing with the retail equation for finding the cost, after a wholesaler adds a markup of $45, so this is our markup, to a Blu-ray player, it is sold to a retail store for $180. So that's the cost to the retail store. What is the wholesaler's cost? So we're going to take our selling price, which is $180, and subtract our markup of $45, and it's going to be $135 is the cost. The next part is selling price based on cost. Let's back up and let's look at this. You can try this by going to page 234 and top of page 235, and they have a try it, and then you can check at the back of the book or the back of that chapter to see if you have it correct. So I would do that before you go on. Selling price based on cost example. We have a firm that purchased monitors for $275.59. The selling price is $449.99. What is the markup? And what is the markup based on cost? And based on cost means that that's at 100%. So our formula is a sales price minus cost. So we have our sales price $449.99 minus our cost, which is $275.59, and then our markup is $174.40. And then to find out what is the percentage we use to do the markup divided by cost, 174.40 by 275.59. So our percentage is 63.3% markup on cost. We do have this table, and you'll find it in your textbook, that makes it easy for figuring these different formulas. And the markup table, you have the dollar column, you have the percent column, and then you have cost plus markup plus sales price. And then you fill in the information that you know, and then you use, whenever you can draw a square, then you use the four corners for the information that you need. So you would take 275.59x, and it's 174.40 times 100 for 17,440. And then you solve for x, so you would divide each side by 275.59, and so you get 63.3%. So it's an easier way to using this table than trying to remember the formulas. You can go to page 235 and 236, or an example 4, and try this before you move on. The next one is going to be selling price based on markup. So whenever you see the term based on, you know that is the part that's set at 100%. A firm purchases pumps from a distributor for $35.40, so that is the cost. If the firm adds 120%, that's the markup, based on cost, cost is 100%, at what retail price should each pump be sold? So they give you the formula here, is taking the cost and multiplying it 100% plus the percent of markup of cost. And they go through the 35.40, which is the cost given, 100% plus 120%, which is the markup. So it's 35.40 times 2.2, 77.88. Again, we can use our markup table, and we can plug in. We know our cost was 35.40. We know cost was based on 100%. We know markup was 100 to 120%. And we're trying to, so when we add these, 100% and 120, we add and we get 220. Now we know that we're solving for the selling price, and we draw our square around, and it is these corners that we're dealing with. So we have 100x, and that equals 35.40 times 220 times 220, which is 7,788, and then we solve for x, and we come up with 77.88. You can go to page 236, example 5, and you can try that, and then check it. The next one is calculating cost when selling price and percent of markup based on cost are known. Calculating cost based on cost, so that means that that's 100%. And our formula is selling price and then 100% plus percent markup on cost. The example that we're going to use is, what is the cost of a printer that sells at retail for $1,750? That's our sales price. With a 70% markup based on 100% cost. Based on cost 100%. So we have our sales price $1,750. 100% plus 70 is 1.7, and we divide. And so the cost is $1,029.41. We can use our markup table. We know that we are looking for cost, so that is our X, and we know cost is at 100%. The markup is 70, and the sales price is $1,750. We can add these, and it's 170% is our sales price markup. And then we draw our square, and we use the outside, so it's 170x, 100 times 1750, and we get 17,500. Solve for x, and we get 1,029.41. You can go to page 237 in example 6, and you can try it before you continue on. Calculating percent markup based on selling price. So based on selling price, we set that at 100%. When selling price is 100% and the markup is expressed as a percent of that selling price. So percent markup based on cost, markup divided by selling price. This is a mistake here. It should be percent markup based on selling price. Not cost, but selling price here. If we have a computer that has a cost of $544, that is our cost, and its selling price is $999.99, what is the percent markup based on selling price? So selling price is 100%. So our formula is selling price minus cost to find our markup, so it's $455.99, and then percent markup based on selling price is markup divided by selling price. So our markup is $455.99, our selling price is $999.99, so it's 45.6% markup on sales price. We can use our table again. We know that cost is $544. We know that the sales price is $999.99. We know that markup is $455.99. We're trying to figure out the markup percentage, and we know that the selling price is set as 100%. So we can draw our square, and it's $999.99x, $455.99 times 100, and then we solve for x. And we get the same percentage. On page 241, you have example 7. At the bottom of page 241, you'll find calculating selling price when cost and percent markup based on 100% selling price are known. So the selling price is equal to cost divided by 100%, and we're going to subtract the percent markup on selling price. Cost 100% minus the percent of markup on sales price. And we're going to use that formula. We have a store purchases beds for $212.35. That's cost. If the store policy is to mark up all merchandise 42% based on the selling price, what is the retail selling price for the beds? So it's cost 100% minus percent of markup on sales price. So we're looking at the cost. 100% is based on selling minus 42% is 0.58. 366.12 would be the selling price. We can use our formula again. We know that $212.35 is our cost. We know that we're trying to solve for the selling price, and selling price is based at 100%. We also know that the markup was 42, so we do 42 minus 100 to get to 58, and then the four sides. 58x, 212.35 times 100, then solve for x, 366.12. On page 242, example 8, you can try it. You can look at the one that they worked out first and then try example 8 and then check your answer. At the bottom of page 242, calculating cost when selling price and percent markup based on 100% selling price are known. So we're calculating the cost based on the selling price. So the formula is selling price times 100% minus percent markup on selling price. We'll use this formula to calculate the cost when selling price and percent markup based on selling price are known. A buyer is looking for a line of shoes to retail for $79.95. That's the selling price they wanted to have. If the objective is a 55% markup based on selling price, what is the most the buyer can buy for the shoes to still get the desired markup? And that formula is selling price and then times 100% minus the percent of markup based on selling price. So it's $79.95, 100% minus 55, get $79.95 times 0.45, $35.98. So this is the buyer's cost. We can use our table again. We're trying to solve for X. We know that it's, we also know the selling price, $79.95, set at 100%. We also know that the objective is 55% markup. So when we subtract, we get our 45. We use our four corners, 100x times $79.95 times 45, and solve for X. Go to page 242, example 9, and try it. Next section is converting percent markups. Converting percent markups from cost to selling price and vice versa. Convert a based on cost percent to a based on selling price percent. So you'll take the percent markup based on cost. You'll add 100% to the percent markup based on cost. Convert based on selling price percent to a based on cost percent. It's the percent markup based selling price and then 100% minus percent markup based on selling price. We're going to use this formula, converting between the markup types. This is a cost example. If the markup on an oven is 200% based on cost, what is the corresponding percent markup based on selling price? So our formula is percent of markup on cost divided by 100% plus percent of markup on cost. So our percent markup on cost is 200, and then we're going to add our cost based on cost 100% plus the 200, and we get 66.7%. Our table has changed because we're looking at percent of cost and percent of sales price. Our left side still remains cost plus markup plus sales price. So we know markup on percent of cost is 100%. We also know that the selling price markup is 100%. We know the markup is 200% based on cost, and we know that we're looking for X, which is the markup on an oven, of the percent of markup based on selling price. So we're looking at X here, the markup. So we can add the 2 and the 100 to get 300% selling price. So now we have our four corners. So 300X, 200 times 100, solve for X, and we get the same percentage. You can go to page 243, example 10. Look at the solutions, the one before it where they worked it out, and then you try it. Office Administration, Dr. Price speaking. Oh, hey, Paula, how are you? I'm good. Okay, converting between markup type and selling price example. If the markup on a machine is 43% based on selling price, what is corresponding percent markup based on cost? So our formula is percent of markup selling price divided by 100% minus the percent of markup on selling price. So we have 43%. 100% minus 43% is 75.4%. We use that same table that we had previously with the percent of markups on the two columns at the top. We know our cost is based at 100%. We also know that we're trying to solve for the markup, X. We know selling price is also based on 100% and it has a markup of 43%. So when we subtract, we get our 57. Now we have our four corners, and you solve. 57x equals 4300. Solve for x. Same percentage. Page 244, example 11. This will conclude part 1 of chapter 8. We'll continue on with part 2. On another day.